Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the AEW review for the 4th of August 2021. Good stuff on here and some really goofy stuff, but for the most part, a pretty good show. Chris Jericho defeats Juventud Guerrera. MJF joins commentary for this. Jericho must win with a top rope maneuver here. This is their first match since 1999. Decent stuff and some sloppiness and miscommunication in the match. Juvi goes right after Jericho and hits some chops in the corner. Diving Rana followed by a dive to the outside. Jericho goes to the floor, and then there's a fourth straight dive. Obviously, it's lucha, so limited psychology necessary here. But again, Juvi, kind of a guy known for that, even back in the day, 20 plus years ago. Gets a drop kick for a near fall. Jericho tackles Juvi to the floor, hits him with a bunch of chops. They go back to the ring. Jericho lands a diving crossbody for a 2 count, and then he gets covers, and but he can't win unless he hits the move off the top. Jericho comes back with a series of strikes and takes him down with a crossbody cross chop. And then Juvi hits a thrust kick for a near fall and a buzzsaw kick for another near fall. Juventud goes to the corner attack. Jericho pops up a shoulder tackle, and then there's a bunch of miscommunication. Jericho hits a diving axe handle for a near fall. Jericho hits a backbreaker. Officials again wouldn't count because it's not off the top rope. Jericho tore away at Juvi's mask. Juvi fights off and tries to come up with his top position. Jericho catches a top rope runner and hops down into the lion tamer, which counts because it's technically off the top rope. Juvi reaches the ropes to break it. Spinning neck breaker and a thrust kick from Juvi, and then gets a near fall. Tries a powerbomb attempt into a DDT, and then Juvi driver for a near fall. Jericho hits Judas Effect, couldn't cover. He climbed to the top rope and hit a diving Judas Effect to get the win. After the match, Wardlow attacks Jericho, hits an F10 on Juvi before hitting the Casualty of War on Jericho. MJF grabs the mic and makes fun of the crowd and reveals that Wardlow is the opponent for Labor number 4, and MJF will be the special guest referee. Lucha Brothers and Alex Abrahantes are asked where Pac was. He's not at Dynamite. Abrahantes implied something had interfered with his travel. Didn't they do this angle before? Andrade and Chavo walked up, and Chavo talked about what it would be like if they worked for him. Lucha Brothers weren't having it. Actually, the idea of Chavo leading them seems like a better idea than what they're doing. Dark Order is with Shivani backstage. They ask him about losing the match last week. Hangman Page walks up, apologizes for losing the match. Dark Order were adamant that they have Page's back, but Page suggests they go their separate ways for now. We're done. Page walks off. Evil Uno said to give Page space. Maybe some depression for Page. Going back to the drinking thing, who knows? Anyway, before the match, 2.0 and Garcia cut a promo. Promo doesn't come off well. They call out top guys Moxley, Allen, and Kingston. John Moxley, Eddie Kingston, and Darby Allin with Sting defeat 2.0, Matt Lee, Jeff Parker, and Daniel Garcia. 2.0 are the former Ever-Rise in WWE NXT. Proof that in fact AEW will take anybody that's just off WWE TV. There's a good bit of cradle exchanges early, and Allen tags Kingston in. Lee gets into a chop battle with Kingston. Kingston beats Lee down in the corner. Parker allows Lee to hit a chop block. Kingston, as they go into the commercial break. Once back from the commercial break, Kingston escapes, and Moxley gets a hot tag cut off before he could really do anything. Moxley's had enough. Takes out Garcia on the floor. They brawl, and Lee is distracted by Sting. Allen uses a distraction to take out Lee with a tope. Moxley then gets the hot tag, takes out both the 2.0, hits a paradigm shift on Garcia, and then tags in Allen for coffin drop in the win. What's the point of having a new tag team if you're just going to have them drop their first match on television? I mean, at least put them over to the point of having something to do with a story that matters in the long run. Anyway, Brian Cage and Team Taz cut dueling promos. Cage said he destroyed Team Taz, while Taz says he's better off without Cage in the group. Elite are being, well, goofy and useless backstage. Gallows and Anderson are going to defend their Impact Tag Team Championships on Dynamite next week against the Dark Order. Young Bucks said there's nobody left to challenge them. Omega and Page blew it last week, and now they've got no friends. Cutler cuts down the net of the basketball hoop. And then another useless segment as Christian Cage, a guy who, they made a big deal out of coming out of retirement with, is going against a guy like the Blade. I don't get why the Blade is on national television. It doesn't make sense. Christian attacks before the bell. Blade gains an advantage in the ring, but Christian comes back with a bunch of punches. Blade tries to flee, and Christian makes clear chase, but then stomps. The bunny ends up going here. Christian ignores distraction, and Blade is sent into the barricade. Back in the ring, Christian climbs top turnbuckle. Bunny grabs a leg. Layla Hirsch runs out and chases Bunny back. This is good storytelling, as at least they have a match later. Blade tries to use distraction, take control, but Christian has that all figured out. Blade then takes out Christian with a rope rebound suplex. We go into commercial. Once back, Christian avoids a corner spear and sends Blade shoulder first into the ring post. Follows up with a dive from the ring to the floor. Back in the ring, Christian hits a bunch of punches and even does corner punches. Follows with uppercut sunset flip for 2. Christian goes for the kill switch. Blade fights out and counters into the Tornado DDT into a power slam for a 2 count. Blade then hits a release suplex and a kick and uses the turnbuckle to distract the official and get the brass knuckles. Blade then walks right out of the spear and gives Christian the win. This does not need to... When you have internet shows, when you have a Friday night show coming, this did not need to be on your main flagship show. Santana and Ortiz and FTR cut promos talking about their matches last week. Harwood says he almost watched his friend die. Ortiz says this is far from over. Flat promo. Dr. Britt Baker promo. Baker comes out and Baker says he's right here in Jacksonville where Baker won the championship. Red Velvet's music plays. She comes out. She insisted Baker, and she wanted a piece of her, and Baker beat Velvet in 3 minutes the last time they fought. Velvet may have been enhancement talent before, but she's 22-4 now, and she's earned a shot. Baker accepts. Match will happen in Baker's hometown of Pittsburgh for the Rampage debut. Rebel tries to attack Velvet with a crutch, but Velvet then has that scouted, and Baker attacks and curve stomps Velvet before the crutch into the throat deal. Andrade is about to cut a promo. Chavo found someone who's going to work for him, Fuego del Sol. At least Fuego del Sol, that gimmick has somewhere to go now. Chavo needs Fuego to shine Andrade's shoes, but he wouldn't do it. Andrade has had enough and attacks, tossing Fuego into the garage door on the outside. Chavo said that if the Lucha Brothers keep working for Pac, they'll never be champions. I don't know that they should be champions anyway. Hangman Page speaks. Page is about to talk about why he split from the Dark Order. He's interrupted by Omega. Omega suggested Page could be here to make a plea to rejoin the Elite, but Page denies it. Omega mocks Page and his relationship with the fan. He considered giving Page a shot, but Page wouldn't fit into the Elite anymore. The Elite doesn't have losers in the group. Page has had enough and slaps Omega, but quickly is overrun with the Magic Killer. Dark Order runs out to save Page, but Uno and Grayson stopped the rest of the crew. Young Bucks hit repeated BTE triggers. Frankie Kazarian runs out, but quickly is beaten down as well. Omega crushes Page with a belt shot. If you're not doing Omega and Page, this angle is pointless, at least at this particular run. American Top Team and Dan Lambert cut a promo about Lance Archer attacking him a few weeks ago. He said he'd bring up he would bring back up next week for something. Then we go to TNT Championship match. Miro defeating Lee Johnson with Dustin Rhodes. Johnson has a lot of potential. I don't know that being in this particular match with very little build was the right thing to do, but at least giving him an option to be on the main show is a good idea. Johnson goes right at Miro, who is obviously TNT champion, and he gets dropped with a shoulder tackle. Miro basically ignores some strikes and catches diving crossbody, turning it into a slam. Calls for the game over, but Johnson rolls to the floor. Back from commercial, Miro and Johnson are doing battle. Miro has him locked in a bear hug, demanding more fighting from Johnson. Johnson popped up into a DDT. Miro popped up. Miro then is wobbly. Johnson lands a bunch more strikes, drops Miro to the floor, and lands dives to the outside and a helo to finish it. Johnson lands a diving crossbody, but Miro kicked out. Miro then goes for the German suplex, but Johnson flips out and hits repeated thrust kicks. Johnson then goes back to the top rope and hits a frog splash for near fall. He tries to hoist Miro up, but Miro fights out and crushes Johnson with a high kick. Miro then called for the game over and locked in the referee stoppage. Next Friday's announced team will be Excalibur, Mark Henry, Taz, and Chris Jericho. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong here. Actually, two of them, in the sense that why do you need 4 announcers for an hour's TV show? Anyway, Christian Cage is backstage with Shivani. He's then the new number 1 contender for the World Championship. Christian asked if he'd back up Layla Hirsch, and Hirsch ran interference during the Blade match. Christian doesn't have friends, he has best friends. He comes back to cement his legacy with and win championships. Christian's been known to stir things up, and he's not good. He's elite. I don't know. This is a flat promo, and if you're going to do Christian and Omega, it should have already been done while the iron was still hot. NWA Women's Championship number 1 contenders match. Layla Hirsch with Best Friends defeats the Bunny with Hardy Family Office. I'm glad for Layla Hirsch, but trading forearms right away. Hirsch hits a dive to the floor. Too many dives on this program. Targets Bunny's arm. Bunny pulls hair and forces a break. Bunny hits backstabber, sending Hirsch to the floor. Following up with a running drop kick leading into the commercial. Camille is shown at ringside. She is the NWA Women's Champion that they're all fighting to face. Upon return, Hirsch hits a superplex. Nyla Rose is ringside for some odd reason, and she and Statlander exchange looks. Hirsch then hits a bunch of German suplexes before following them up with corner knees and dropkick for a near fall. Locks in the cross arm breaker. Bunny pinned Hirsch's shoulders to force a break. Hirsch hits a big knee strike following missing a step-up moonsault. Bunny takes advantage with a thrust kick and a Death Valley driver for a near fall. Hirsch then fights out down the rabbit hole and goes to the cross arm breaker again, transitioning into the center of the ring and forcing the Bunny to tap. Hirsch invites Camille into the ring. Camille dwarfs Hirsch, and they exchange words and end the segment. Next week's Dynamite lineup: Jericho's 4th labor, Jericho versus Wardlow with MJF at ringside. Maybe he's the referee. They said that earlier in the show. Nyla Rose and Chris Statlander, Impact Tag Team Championship, Good Brothers and Dark Order, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson. actually probably one of the weaker shows of Dynamite in a while. Anyway, for the debut of Rampage, announced August 13th. Britt Baker defending against Red Velvet. Mikael Black defeats Cody Rhodes with Arn Anderson. Black hits a leg kick and goes right after it. Tries to go. Cody goes for the figure four, but Black breaks it up and gouges Cody's eyes out. Cody comes back with an enziguri, but Black takes Cody down with a leg sweep and locks on a single leg crab. Cody then surprises Black by going for crossroads. Black fights out. Cody climbs the ropes, but Black kicks the leg, sends him flying through the timekeeper's table. Cody barely makes it back in the ring before being counted out. Black hits a spinning heel kick and pins Cody in about 4 or 5 minutes. Post-match, Shivani goes to the ring to interview Cody. Talks about early memories and goals in wrestling. He said he's had so much fun in wrestling. He talks about starting AEW, how people laughed at it. He says they're no longer just an alternative, they're competition. Cody's been lucky, and he loves the EVPs, and he'll forever be tied to them. And with that, all respect to Daily's place, to me, this is AEW Amphitheater. There's no better place. He thanks the fans and for making his life special. He then takes off his boots and salutes the audience. Black then returns and takes out Cody with a crutch, and that Cody had been using post-match, and then stands over Cody to end the show. If this is a tease at Cody's retirement, it's the dumbest tease ever. Like I said, half the show's good, half the show's not. It is what it is, but a weaker version of Dynamite than previous weeks. Anyway, we'll be back with more right after this.